60% may also be reached, and we're going to suffer the problem of surplus.
But he has given an answer. That's why he's pushing for the regional markets. And you will appreciate that at the African level, we have the free trade area created.
Okay.
So we need, as a country, to support the government and the president in that vision of creating a regional market and a continental market.
Okay.
More often when he talks about that, we see it as very far away or as being idealistic. It is the reality. We really need to create a market. As we mobilize people to produce at 100% capacity, we must create the requisite market.
As we mobilize Uganda to produce at 100%. Monday, we have talked about this conversation. The president has elaborated on how he's going to do it. Just a reflection on COVID-19, the year 2020 into 2021. One of the grave things that I have seen and realized that Uganda is surely having excess. It's having the surplus that he has talked about was agriculture. In a time when you thought no one would be having food, that was the fear before lockdown. Where are we going to get the food? Where are we going to get the water? Where are we going to get this and that and that? But for those of them that could afford, the food was readily available, so much so that prices cut down. You get a bunch of matoke at 5,000 shillings, and a tray of eggs at 5,000 shillings, which wasn't the norm before. Why? Because of the surplus effect, and because some of our borders, such as Rwanda, had closed business with us, and so we had to look to other markets within the region. South Sudan has been of great help to actually deal with this problem of surplus. Kenya has been a very good aid in dealing with this problem of surplus that we've been having under a pandemic, as well as Tanzania, Congo, and other regions. Now, we have been hearing him pushing for regional integration. How can regional integration help us in the growth of sectors such as agriculture, ICT, among others he has mentioned?
Regional integration is the way to go, and he has always put it clear, because it widens the market. I think that is one of the reasons why Somalia and Congo are actually knocking at the door of EAC, because they want to join the bigger market. But also the other issue that comes in is that with regional integration, it is also possible as a region to protect our infant industries from unnecessary competition, especially from industries like from China and that actually have developed. Then also with regional integration, it also helps perhaps to see how do we standardize our products, so that maybe next time we don't see cases of Kenya rejecting our maize, or we don't see like what happened during Magufuli's time, where actually milk from Kenya was bad from really being sold in Tanzania. So with regional integration, actually he talks about this at a time when the customs union and the common market as the first two stages or pillars of the East African integration are now are being questioned, because when you go to people in the business community, say, look here, it's just on paper. So I think now this is to re-emphasize that, look here, yes, with these barriers to trade within, to trade amongst us, actually must be done away with. Now, when it also comes to the issue of ICT, today, the world is actually a small village just because of technology. That what is happening in the other countries is also happening here.
A mouse is connecting the entire world.
Yes,
at a click of a finger.
For example, we've just been having a joint production with TBC just because of ICT, because of technology. So it is also a virgin area that we also, as a continent, as a people, we need to really emphasize. But again, it comes also at a time when we see that there's a lot of crime going on the internet. There's a lot of fraud actually going on through technology, and
which is understandable because it's still a virgin territory.
Yes, it's
as you have mentioned,
of course, given that it's
so
a virgin
they have
area,
not yet gotten the exact framework, policies of guidance through ICT that can protect and also grow it in the same time.
Now, in some countries, for example, in Tanzania, they came up with, in most cases, if you want to regulate or if you want perhaps people to abandon a particular practice, you overtax them. And we saw it during Magufuli's time. There was high taxes actually on those who want to open up blogs, or those who have YouTubes who are running sites on internet. But I think in Uganda, now that we've come up with, we have come up with a division, or perhaps a department in police that is actually going to check crimes cyber crimes. It is one way to go, and as a continent, this is something really that we need to embrace, because whereas technology is good, but if it is not checked, if we just embrace it wholeheartedly, okay, it may end up eroding our culture, it may end up eroding, and at times also it can lead to chaos. It can also lead to tensions, unnecessary tensions. So that's why it equally needs to be controlled, it needs to be regulated, so that it can serve the purpose for which we feel is going to bring us together as a continent, bring us together as Africans, to position ourselves in the global affairs. Because currently, as you see, even when you look at the inauguration ceremony, the choice of the leaders who came was actually, I think, spot on, because if you have...
I would agree with you on that one. It was intentional. Intentional selection.
When you see somebody from Ghana, His Excellency Akufo-Addo, it reminds us of the likes of Kwame Nkrumah. And
all regions being represented across Africa.
All the regions are being represented. So you also have people like from Guinea-Conakry. You have people from the president of Zimbabwe, a delegation from South Africa.
Namibia.
So this tells a lot about where the president wants us to head, because you have you have the vice president or a delegation from Nigeria, and you also have a delegation from South Africa, because these are two of the actually largest economies on the continent,
and Egypt,
and of course, and Egypt. So now, when you have the president is trying to show us that this time round, it's not only about regional integration, but it's about Pan-Africanism. It's about the integration of the continent, and it's about a continent, how we can move forward. Now, even when you see the chairman of the AU summit, President Felix Silombe Tshisekedi, also coming to attend this function. And I think for the first time we are also seeing at such a function that we have an interpreter in French. I think for the first time.
For the Francophone countries.
For the Francophone countries. But not only for the Francophone countries, because now in EAC, when Honorable Sevalu was still in Yala, actually by that time the only working language was English. But with time, Kiswahili and French have been adopted as working languages. Just because we have Rwanda, Burundi, and now Congo is also at the verge.
Which goes a long way to aid in the integration and the Pan-Africanism that we'll later be talking about. Now, thank you so much for bringing in the East African conversation. The president did talk about one of those meetings back in the day. He referred to the meeting in 1963 where members of the regional states had a sit down, and one of the things they were advocating for, they were calling for the independence of Kenya, but also the Confederation of East Africa. Many years down the road, 50 plus years down the road, Honorable Mike, we have had this conversation ongoing. The fulfillment thereof, or the activation, the actual activation of it, it's still not yet visible in terms of holistic outlook and approach. Where do we go from here in terms of what the president wants to achieve within the region?
Yeah, that conversation is a very important conversation. What our forefathers then had in mind was the greatest thing that should have happened. We missed that opportunity. It was a missed opportunity, because we are just emerging out of colonialism. We are moving towards independence, and the strategic leadership that we had at the time felt that that was the perfect time to go into independence, when we already united and we've already created one single political authority. And the late Mwalimu Julius Nyerere was even ready to delay the independence of Tanganyika so that it is done after, it is done within the framework of the integrated region. Now, those thoughts were very important. Those were very strategic because they were looking at creating viable independent entities that would occupy fully their space in the global power relations and power play, so that then you are viable from the word go. Now, having missed that opportunity, we want to thank leaders who still pursue that agenda. And indeed, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, in matters of integration, he is the perfect successor of the Nyerere ideology of ensuring that we build stronger entities at the regional level. We use them as building blocks for an integrated, strong continental authority. Now, the problem that has created the delay in achieving that is that when we accepted to go into independence, we then inherited two aspects that have caused a little of a problem. Sovereignty. Now, when we achieved the sovereignty as independent states, and when we started getting into dimensions like the national interest, once you go into that, the thinking becomes narrow, the thinking becomes inward. You don't look at the common good anymore. You don't look at a common direction and focus.
And we can say this has been guided by the fact that many years later, these different states have actually gained personal independence for self. Giving up that self to, common good would be difficult. Yeah,
that's why now you find that some of the leaders who still pursue the sovereignty and the national interest kind of dimension, they are like, we are now, for instance, in the East African community, we are cooperating as individual independent sovereign states. So when you get a matter that you don't feel comfortable with, some of the leaders withdraw to the sovereignty issue. We are a sovereign state, we have our laws, we have our constitution. That's why our president has been advocating for an integrated or confederated area, so that we get a regional constitution to which we all pay allegiance to and work to fulfill. And the national interest also, that's why you've been having things like you don't bring your maize because our market is saturated, our farmers, even when the maize you have is not enough, because of national interest and clamor for national interest, you find people don't look at the big picture. They don't look at the common market as a common market. They want to see their share, they want to protect their own, and yet when you have a wider market, you enhance productivity, and at the end of the day, the rewards are much bigger. So we still need to look at the big picture. We shouldn't even stop at thinking of EAC alone. That's why our president has been advocating for the expansion. The inclusion of Rwanda and Burundi was his idea, against the odds of his other heads of state who wanted to play safe and keep the integration to the original three. The coming in of DRC and Somalia is part of his agenda, because he believes that when we use the East African region
it can
as
be
a model,
yes,
then we can use it as a building block for the other areas to come. So that's why the turn-up today was Pan-Africanist in orientation. It was purposeful. It was deliberate. It had the continental character. You saw from North, East, Maghreb, CEMAC, all these regions were represented. All the organizations, Great Lakes Region Conference, and all of them were represented at the highest level. So it is a practical demonstration that these things can be done, and they have benefit, and that is the way to go. Because the future belongs to those that are organized. So as a region, we need to be organized to build our bargaining position and be able to claim our fair share within the geopolitics.
Now, Akol, while the Confederation conversation may take longer than expected, we do, I believe, have small forms of consolidation, small forms of integration that we are seeing that can aid build this conversation to actually becoming a reality for the East African region mainly one day. One of those, of course, is commerce that is now shared among the region, having the continental free state trade and the likes. Anything commerce and possibly economic has been worked on. There's integrations within the region. We are also seeing integration coming through in terms of transport with the revision of the railway that is coming through Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, and the other countries. You know, trying to do that one railway that can connect the economies together. That is one of the smaller ways this integration can actually be vast. The other most recent one is the oil pipeline that we are seeing that has to cut through the East African region. And most recently, last month, we had the President, Her Excellency Samia Suluhu, coming to Uganda and signing an agreement, the oil pipeline agreement with us, the President, and the other stakeholders to start off that project. Now, how can we leverage on those small units of integration to actually build to confederation?
Yeah, whereas
most especially politically.
Yeah, whereas the political federation may take longer, but I think it's very important that we should strengthen areas that bring into play social and economic integration, as you're saying. Because when you look at the people, really, the people in Africa, they're almost the same. Because when you, for example, tribes in some tribes, the border tribes, or communities, you find that they actually have dual citizenship. They're in the other country and they're in this country. So it cuts across everywhere. Then we've also seen issues of intermarriages.
Yes.
Those are some of the issues that bring about social integration. But when it comes to economic integration, I think there is a lot of lip service because they talk about the free African trade zone, but this is something that is normally just said, they're not practiced. How we wish that we don't have visas. Therefore, why should one have to get a visa to go to Congo, to go to South Africa, to go to Nigeria? So let us see that there is that free movement of goods and services on the continent, as actually the forefathers of Pan-Africanism envisaged. But also let us also see that economies are supporting one another to grow,
yes.
Supporting one another to grow. Then the other issue is you talked about transport. Yes, transport actually is one key area that can bring us together. But it is very interesting to know that from here to Zanzibar, actually at times it's more expensive than flying to Europe. I think Honorable can actually testify to that. Okay. So how I wish that the leaders made transport within the region affordable, cheaper, so that actually people can freely interact and freely move.
And maybe to throw in something on that,
please.
And it is a simple thing to do. All we need to do is to domesticate the airspace so that it ceases to be an international flight, to becomes the local flight. Because an hour flight from Mombasa to Nairobi is about $100. Then you find that the same hour flight from Nairobi to Entebbe is 700 or even 800.
Not even from
because
Nairobi
it is international.
Not even from Nairobi, from Kisumu to Entebbe. So, or from Kilimanjaro to Entebbe, which is shorter.
So all we need to do is the East African space is domestic, since we are the same, and that will drastically pull down the costs of transport, air transport.
Okay, all right. Now let's come back home a little bit. The next term that has started today after the swearing in of His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, one of the things that they are aiming at is job creation and wealth creation. But he cannot do that alone. He has to do it with the ruling party, which is the National Resistance Movement, for which you do belong, Honorable Severo.
Yes, yes.
Now, let's talk about...
To which I happily belong.
You happily
and
belong.
Proudly.
Definitely. Your pride is written inside your mask. Okay, so he has talked about sectors of focus for wealth and job creation. He mentioned commercial agriculture, he mentioned industries, he mentioned ICT, and eventually he also mentioned services, and which media falls as a service. What are the actual ground plans that the party has to be able to leverage on these sectors to create both wealth and job creation?
Yeah, that is a very, very important question, and I'm glad he addressed it in his speech. One, first of all, we have the what. We know the what. That is our purpose. We need to appreciate our purpose. And if you are strategically to address such issues, you need to do the 3 Ps. That is, the first P is purpose. Why are we in leadership? Why do we exist as a party? Why do we exist as a government? The second is to deal with the processes. We have the MDAs, we have the procedures, we have the systems, and we have the structures. The third P are the people across the dimension. The people in government, the people in the party, the people in the civil service, the people in the private sector, the people in the civic space, the people in the non-governmental space.
Yes.
And we need to play it all along. Each of us have a role to play, and we need to play it. Now, the second question that we need to deal with, and I think that is where he put emphasis, is the how. Because the what is already defined. You've been given a Ministry of Agriculture, and it is a focus in terms of commercial agriculture, in terms of value addition along the value chain. Then how are you going to define your relevance as someone who has been given authority and responsibility to do that? So what I want to call upon is that all actors need to look at their attitude. We need to change attitude. The attitude should inform development. The attitude should inform service delivery. The attitude should inform progress. We also need to change the mindset. This idea of business as usual is not something that may be good for us at this point in time. And as we go into this Chisanja, 2 things need to drive our initiative. We need to ensure that we are efficient in whatever we do, and we are effective in whatever we do. If it is a policy direction, make sure that you play your role in spirit and letter, so that at the end of the day, the value chain is complete. If you play your role, I play my role, he plays his, at the end of the day, the benefits will be there for everyone to see, efficiency will be achieved, and effectiveness will be done, because the people want delivery, the people want service. The people don't want us to sloganeer, they just want reality, something, they want deliverables in terms of what we've set out to do. And whoever is going to be given responsibility, that should be the way forward. And I think that's why the president was firm. He's like, if you are to work with me, you better work. If you're not ready to work, you better not present yourself. Yep.
Okay, all right. Now let's move on to the bigger conversation. We've looked at the national discussion, we've looked at the regional discussion, but now we have the continental discussion that we must also appreciate. And I think between us 3, we had this conversation offset, and we were really appreciating the fact that spirit-wise, we feel like the next direction is for a continental unity, for us to achieve further as an African continent. Now, the president did make reference to America and the different states that were once independent, but they decided to come together and they formed what is now known as the United States of America. Today, they are a superpower. Today, they influence everything from politics to economics to commerce. Every single thing is influenced by the United States of America, majority. When you look at states like China, India, we have seen them doing just the same. Because of the problem of surplus, they realize that even though they have 1 billion for population, over 1 billion for population each of the countries, they were able to realize that it is necessary for them to push their boundaries past their actual Chinese boundaries or Indian boundaries
Geographical.
geographically, and then get into other regions. And guess where they are today?
Spaces, yeah.
They are in Uganda today, and they're still influencing us politically, infrastructure-wise, most especially, and in terms of trade and commerce. And so the president was bringing it in perspective to help the invited guests understand where he is going. Pan-Africanism, the fact that we actually have common interests which can cause us to stand as one, unify, and build a greater region.
Actually, we even have the same threats, common threats.
So let's talk about highlight for us the same threats, and then a call, please highlight for us the common interests.
Maybe before I can get to that, I also wish to look at the issue of agriculture, as you really talked about it, as actually Honorable did talk about it. But here, what is important is how do we stabilize the prices? Because we've always had an issue of price fluctuation. That this season, the price actually of maize is high, and me, you, and Honorable say let's get into maize farming. That season, actually, the price is almost a quarter of what it was. So how does government stabilize prices? This is something that really they need to look at. Then also the issue of infrastructure. The issue of infrastructure. Do we have the apparatus to facilitate agriculture? And the other issue is also still on mindset. You'll realize that most magazines, when they are advertising or telling a story about agriculture, they'll want to bring my old grandmother, show her as somebody in the garden, and that's how they do it.
With the torn clothes.
With the torn clothes. We need a picture showing a beautiful woman like Priscilla, a devout man like Honorable, farming. Then it is going to attractive. Say, okay, you mean also somebody can go to school and also go to also get into agriculture. Now also schools, because now in most cases schools use agriculture for punishment. That you've come late, you go to the school garden. You've done it. We've not seen, there are very few schools that have come up with initiatives to appreciate agriculture. Say, look here, you can start a project, actually, and this project can help you.
The school that I went to in my high school, we had a chicken farm, there was a matoke farm, and also a goats farm. So each class would have a class day at the farm where you go and actually engage in the practices of these different farms.
Yeah, so basically that's how we must start from somewhere. We must start on things, the small things that really can work as incentives, can actually motivate, can inspire more and more, actually the other 60%, so that they can also become productive. Now back to the issue of not the issue, the idea of
Pan-Africanism,
the idea of Pan-Africanism.
Common interests that cut across from the north of Africa to the south of Africa.
No, the common interest is the interest to exist, because really the Africans for very many years we've actually been threatened. That like President Yoweri Museveni has always put it, that we are threatened by slave trade. We survived slave trade. We survived colonialism. They have even actually manufactured diseases for Africa. So because of that gene, we are resistant. But we may also not only now rely on our resistant gene, but also now we should learn how do we come together, how do we fight together, so that we can really
Allow me to
exist.
look at the statistics that we are seeing there. Key statistics: foreign presidents in attendance, we've had 11. Then we've had foreign dignitaries in attendance, and they were 33 in number for the inauguration of His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. We have also been looking at statistics in different sectors that are going to be coming through on your screen, and we'll be looking at them as this dialogue does continue. Yes, a call. Key statistics for energy: they've had 550 megawatts of energy being produced, and we are looking to a better number in the next 5 years for that. For economy, there is $36 billion for GDP, and that is a very key statistic getting into the next 5 years of His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Now, those statistics are going to be coming through on your screen. They're just to prepare you that is where we stand as a country, but we cannot stand there. We must walk another mile, another 5 years. Akol, please do continue.
Yeah, so in terms of the issue of the region or the continent coming together, what is really has always set the continent back, set us back, is chauvinism, this we see chauvinism, tribal chauvinism, but also, as he said, sovereignty, where you see that some leaders don't want to let go of their comfort zones, that I'm the prime minister, I'm the president, and therefore they feel they should continue being such. But we also need to appreciate the fact that integration is not a one-day off. It is something, it's a gradual process. Even the United States, it took them time for them to come together. Even when you look at the unification of Germany, it also took them time. And that calls for a strong leader, somebody who is visionary and can actually influence others in following what he dreams of the continent. Unfortunately, in Africa, people who have come out to have such a dream have always had issues. Nkrumah had issues. Of course, he was overthrown. We also saw that Haile Selassie, the same of Ethiopia, was also overthrown. The other person also had such kind of dream was Gaddafi, and we saw how his ending was. So we wish to see African leaders coming together, that every other time your colleague gets a problem, then you should be handled as an African problem. They should come together and see how actually they can protect their very own.
Okay. Honorable Sewalu, the president did make mention of a statement that is very profound for me. He did say, we must make center of gravity for the African race. He was referring to the comparison he made to North America vis-a-vis South America, and how consolidation actually has caused prosperity for the North of America and yet has given poverty to the Southern of America. Something that we are seeing in Africa. Poverty is cutting across. He did mention that people come here, and a friend of his that he was interacting with previously yesterday asked him, how can you people be poor here when you have rain? You have good soils, good environment, you have the conducive environments for the desired economic growth. Now, when we look at this particular conversation that he's pushing forward, in your eyes, through your lenses, what would you say can be the economic center of gravity for us to achieve Pan-Africanism?
Yeah, I think that is very true. If you are to go into the classical study of integration, there are different models that are used. There is one model they call the hegemonic model, where you get one of the leading economies or one of the leading partner states taking lead, making more sacrifices, making more contributions, so that then you coalesce the rest of the partner states to appreciate. And this is happening when you go to the European Union. Germany is playing that role. He also illustrated with the US playing the stabilizing factor within the North America and the rest. You look at China in that part of the world, India in Asia. So even in Africa, we need these kind of interventions. Economies like Nigeria, economies like South Africa, economies like Egypt, within the East African region, economies like Kenya should plant the seed and should be able to make more sacrifices for the common good. Within the East African region, Uganda may not be the biggest economy, but it has demonstrated that it wants to lead this process. That's why you find that in any conversations regarding the integration agenda, President Museveni, on behalf of Uganda, is one voice that has remained steadfast in matters of integration. Because at the end of the day, one mistake people make when they put so much emphasis on sovereignty is that being sovereign in an area of poverty even undermines your sovereignty in one way or another. Being a sovereign when you are poor He made one example that is very interesting, that Africans are like pygmies, but we feel that you are taller than the others, but you remain short. So the beauty should be to build collective capacity so that individually each one of you becomes more powerful. Because when you are integrated, you make the economy work, you make the economy tick, you'll find that each partner state individually will have a better value proposition in an area that is progressing. But if you remain fragmented and poor, you will appear to be strong, but in an environment of abject poverty, which doesn't work. Now, my final take on this is that when you agree to join an integrating area, you need to be ready to subordinate your sovereignty to a supranational level of authority, whereby you now take a decision in Arusha and you implement it in spirit and letter, looking at the strategic goal that you are going to achieve at the end of the day. But this is not what is happening, because people usually fall back to sovereignty and national interest at the expense of collective interest and strategic interest.
Okay, well, time is first spent for us, but I liked how the president actually put it point blank when his friends from the East asked, "Are you pro-East?" He said no. Others asked him, "Are you pro-West?" He said no. And then the answer became, "I am pro-African," and that was his statement. And that goes a long way in showing you that in the next 5 years, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni is having a good intention for what we are going to be pushing for, both on national level, regional level, and also the African level. It speaks a lot in volumes for the 11 heads of state that did come selectively and intentionally came to be a part of this day that is changing the face of Uganda. Now, we are also going to be looking at a couple of things. All right, we did have the president of Ethiopia, Her Excellency Sahel Work Zede. We thank her so much for having come through, and I'm pretty sure she has heard the message of the president. We should be seeing more dialogue between the two presidents in this coming 5 years. We equally thank the president of DR Congo, His Excellency Felix Tshisekedi, for coming through and being a part of this East African milestone. We did have other comrades that did join His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. The Republic of Ghana was represented by the President, His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, who is also new in power in his first year. The President of the Republic of Namibia, we thank him so much for his continued partnership, and I believe that he has had the message of Pan-Africanism. We have also had the President of the Republic of Guinea, His Excellency Alpha Conde. Now, I know he most especially does understand this conversation of having shared values and mutual respect among African countries. The President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, His Excellency Emerson Dambuzo. Yes, we thank you so much for representing the southern part of Africa. Of course, Mr. Neighbor, the President of the Republic of Kenya, they do have their elections coming through very soon.
And he's the chairman.
Next year.
Chairman of EAC.
A chairman of EAC, so there's now pressure has been moved to Kenya. The President of the Republic of Southern Sudan, His Excellency Salva Kiir, we also thank him so much, one, for his partnership, especially in terms of economic integration. The President for the Republic of Somalia, yes, they might be having issues here and there, but I'm pretty sure from the looks of things, he has held the front line with a strong arm. The President of the Republic of Burundi, His Excellency Evariste Ndayishimiye, is also having his first year of office, having gotten into office same month last year. Vice Presidents for the Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Yemi Osibajo. First time he has come to Uganda ever since he got into that office. The President and a dear friend of Uganda for the United Republic of Tanzania, Her Excellency Samia Suluhu Hassan, thank you so much for making time and coming to Uganda to witness this ceremony that causes us to close this conversation. Now, at the end of the day, we have to look at shared values, mutual respect, and one thing that I had the president overemphasizing is how we must look at these things. If we look at it as brother and sister, then it's going to be easier for us to make decisions that are going to move this country forward, move the region forward, and also move Africa forward. And also, it is going to help in building the center of gravity for the African race, as he clearly put it. The question now becomes, isn't this a time, and are these not the next 5 years in which this can be achieved? Well, for now, the answer is yes. But as you know, in the institution of marriage, they give you the certificate in advance, and then you get to go through the institute of marriage. With its ups and downs, you still have to make the commitment and stick to the commitment. And it still relates to what we have just witnessed today. The president was sworn in, given the instruments of power, the national flag. He was given the national anthem. He was given the public seal. He was also given the Constitution, among others, and these are already given to him in advance. Now he has to advocate to protect, to preserve, and to defend these instruments of power. We want to thank you so much, the management of UBC, for enabling this leverage come to all of Uganda, right from the north to the south of Uganda, west and east. Thank you so much to all of you that have chosen Uganda Broadcasting Corporation as your home to enjoy the scientific inauguration of His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, and the team behind in the control, the tech team, the IT team, every member, the reporters in the field, the presenters in the field, and everyone that has been a part of this production. We want to say thank you so much. Well, Hakuna Mchezo is done and dusted. Now it's time for securing your future. Have yourselves a wonderful evening.
And the issue of lectures, that it doesn't need lectures anymore.
The board, management and staff of the National Information Technology Authority, NITA Uganda, congratulate His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni on the occasion of swearing in as President of the Republic of Uganda. With your steadfast and visionary leadership, NITA Uganda has been able to set up the largest and most stable optic fiber-based network in the country. The national data transmission backbone infrastructure spanning over 4,000 kilometers and providing reliable, secure and affordable connectivity for over 1,000 government offices. With your leadership, NITA Uganda is setting up BPO ICT parks across the country. BPO ICT parks will enable the development of homegrown ICT innovations and stimulate the growth of technological-based local businesses in the ICT sector. NITA Uganda, lives transformed through services delivery. The Chairman, Board of Directors, Management and Staff of Uganda Broadcasting Corporation, UBC, join the people of Uganda in congratulating His Excellency President of the Republic of Uganda, General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, and the NRM upon his successful election and the inauguration on 12 May 2021 as the President of the Republic of Uganda. As a public broadcaster, UBC remains the most trusted broadcaster in Uganda, with the values of creating change in the society, investing itself in providing credible information with the passion of continuous inspiration to Ugandans, while contributing to securing the future. Long live Your Excellency, long live Uganda.
The Uganda Bureau of Statistics, in collaboration with Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, will conduct the National Livestock Census starting 17th till 28th May 2021. The census is aimed at obtaining information on the structure and organization of the livestock sector and will collect data on all livestock types, breeds and ownership by sex, land ownership and tenure systems. The livestock census will be conducted in all the 135 districts of Uganda as of June 2019 and will collect data from household-based farms as well as private large-scale and institutional farms. The indicators derived from the National Livestock Census will inform evidence-based planning policy formulation. This is to inform and request all stakeholders at national, local government, sub-county, farmers to cooperate with the enumerators and provide accurate information. Please contact the Manager Communication and Public Relations on 0772 48 57 12 or 071 17 060 12.
The management and staff of the Uganda Communications Commission, UCC, congratulate His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni and the people of Uganda on this day of your inauguration as President of the Republic of Uganda. ICTs are a key enabler of efficiency and effectiveness in service delivery, production processes, and communication. As the regulator of the communication sector in Uganda, the Commission, UCC, pledges to continue providing regulatory oversight to drive the development of a vibrant communication sector as you secure Uganda's future. Long live NRM. Long live Uganda.
The Executive Chairman, Board of Directors, Management and Staff of Kira Motors Corporation congratulate General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni on his inauguration as the President of the Republic of Uganda. Kira Motors celebrates His Excellency the President for the visionary leadership and ardent support towards building the indigenous motor vehicle industry in Uganda. Kira Motors Corporation is committed to building a better Uganda through automotive technology consistent with Uganda's aspirations and pathways to Vision 2040 and the NRM Manifesto 2021 to 2026. Specifically, 1. Promotion of local manufacturing of motor vehicles. 2. Establishment of an efficient, integrated, sustainable, safe and inclusive public transport system. And 3. Promotion of environmentally friendly transport solutions. Long live His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Long live the people of the Republic of Uganda. Long live Kira Motors Corporation.
Congratulations, Your Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni Tibuhaburwa, upon your inauguration as President of the Republic of Uganda. We at Uganda Tourism Board salute you and the people of the Pearl of Africa on this historic day. We deeply appreciate your significant role in seeking solutions to many of East Africa and Africa's political crises and keeping us all in harmony. Your global advocacy on behalf of Africa is another example of your great leadership and calling beyond Uganda.
The Board of Directors and Management of Wazalendo Sacco wish to congratulate His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni Tibuhaburwa, upon re-election for the 6th presidential term of office 2021-2026. Wazalendo is an institutional sacco for Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs and Uganda People's Defense Forces, UPDF. This sacco has had the effect of improving the welfare of its members and contributing to the economy of the nation over the last 16 years. We thank His Excellency the President for the peace and stability. In the same vein, we wish him and the people of Uganda a successful term of office that fully secures the future of Uganda. Long live Your Excellency, long live Uganda. The Board of Directors, Management and Staff of Uganda Civil Aviation Authority send hearty congratulations to His Excellency Yoweri Tibuhaburwa Kaguta Museveni upon swearing in as President of the Republic of Uganda. The resounding victory in the just concluded elections is a vote of confidence. The vision of the National Resistance Movement government to uplift the standards of living of our people and build a stable and prosperous Uganda. Uganda Civil Aviation Authority pledges commitment to implementing the 20-year National Civil Aviation Master Plan and all the 2021-2026 manifesto pledges in relation to air transport aimed at securing the country's aviation future. Long live Your Excellency, long live Uganda.
Congratulations, Your Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni Tibuhaburwa, upon your inauguration as President of the Republic of Uganda. We at Ministry of ICT and National Guidance salute you and the people of the Palm of Africa on the historic day. We deeply appreciate your significant role in seeking solutions to many of East Africa and Africa's political crisis and keeping us all in harmony. Your global advocacy on behalf of Africa is another example of your great leadership and calling beyond Uganda.
The board, management and staff of Banana Industrial Research Development Center take great pleasure to convey their sincere congratulations and best wishes to His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the NRM fraternity and the nation at large. Our mission is to be the center of excellence for farmers, focused on banana industrial development through strategic public-private partnerships, and our vision is to have a state-of-the-art banana research and competitive business development center for value-added products by 2025. Our brand, Toke, is emerging competitive brand for banana value-added products with 2 UNBS certificate. Long live Your Excellency, long live Uganda, for God and my country.
The Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development joins the people of Uganda to congratulating His Excellency General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni upon his election and swearing in as President of the Republic of Uganda. Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development pledges to continue formulating sound economic policies, mobilizing resources and regulating financial management to enhance economic stability and development of Uganda. Long live Your Excellency, long live the people of Uganda.
On behalf of the board, management and staff of the Uganda Cancer Institute, we warmly congratulate His Excellency the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Uganda People's Defense Forces, General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, on his election for the 6th term of office. We wish you success during your next term in office. The Uganda Cancer Institute is committed to providing holistic cancer services to all Ugandans during this term as we secure our future. Long live His Excellency the President, long live Uganda, for God